Okay, this is a catch-up match now from Division 2 between Jordan Berkley and Tony Jackson. So you can see the points are quite close. It looks like we've got... this was recorded by Jordon, so we're seeing Jordan's hand. He's on this blue-white Teferi deck. You can see the blink of an eye in there. It's 2 mana to bounce a permanent, or you can pay 4 mana and bounce a permanent plus draw a card. It looks like we might have a mirror match on our hands here. Tony's a Glacial Fortress at New with a Field of Ruin, so I'm suspecting this is a mirror match. So this could be quite a slow grind. As Jordan just misses on his 4th land drop here. So land drops, particularly in a control mirror, are extremely important to hit your land drops. I was going to say, we'll see him fire off the Supreme Will, I'm sure, to try and find that land, or search for Skanta might be enticing here as well. He's going to take the land just to be safe because he wants to hold up the disallow. And he passes the turn. Both of these players, if I'm just looking at the board now, Mark will use a runaway leader in this division. Jordan's certainly within striking distance as well. At this stage, Tony's, because Jordan actually has a game in hand, he's a couple of games behind. Tony's probably playing for position for next season now. You can see the blink of an eye there just to cycle to get a card. Again, this is another one of those recordings where the permanents that are not creatures go on the right hand side. I'm not really sure why that is, but Teferi resolves because of that blink of an eye was cast by Jordan. So this is going to be huge. If he can keep Teferi around, he should be able to win from here. Here's a search for a Skanta as well. As Teferi ticks up to 6, you can see that Jordan does have the approach in his hand. He'll probably go for it here, I'd imagine. Yep, so he's going to fire that off, gain 7 life. Well, here's a Gearhulk in response. What's this for? Okay, he's targeting the disallow. Now, this is important because approach, the first time you cast it only needs to be cast. It doesn't matter if it resolves or not. So by countering it, you do 2 things. 1, you put it in the grave so it doesn't go to the 7th card down. And 2, obviously you don't gain the life. But not having it as a 7th card down is the important thing here. So Tony here with all the early running, he's got a Teferi that's 2 turns away from ultimate. And he's got a Gearhulk beating down. So here's a Fumigate. We'll see if they want to fight. They don't. So Jordan goes for the opt. He's going to be able to seal away that Gearhulk, although he missed it there. Teferi ticks up again. But yeah, Teferi just taking over this match now. Does he seal away here? No, he doesn't. Not sure why he doesn't seal away the Gearhulk there. But there's going to be a Teferi ultimate next turn. We'll see if he's holding up the disallow to try and fight over that ultimate. It'd be a good way to get rid of Teferi. Let's see what happens here. 3 Field of Ruins. Okay, so Tony's not interested in the ultimate at this stage. He just pluses it, so he's not going to be able to get rid of Teferi here. Oh, if there's a counter spell here, this is bad. There is a counter spell, and I think that's game 1 is going to go to Tony now. Gearhulk's going to knock him to 3. Teferi at 9, so he's got to deal with 2 threats in 1 turn. He can Fumigate to get rid of the Gearhulk, and then disallow the trigger on the Teferi ultimate. But if there's a counter spell on the other side, then that's not going to work. So let's see what's going on here. Is Tony going to have in? Well, this is lethal as well, so he's going to be forced to Yeah, there's too much going on, so we're going to go to game 2. He would have been forced to counter that because it would have been lethal, and then Teferi would have ultimated anyway. History of Benalia is going to be a bit tougher to resolve here, because you'd imagine that he's not going to try and resolve it at this stage. I'd imagine that more counter spells like negates would come in from the sideboard here. 2 Teferis. Blink of an Eye will work very well with the History of Benalia. One option he had here was to go for a oh, that's a bit of a blowout, but it's going to enable him to resolve History of Benalia now. That's a pretty aggressive disallow from Tony. It does mean that Jordon is only on 3 lands. He went from 4 to 3, so he's 2 turns away from Teferi now. Teferi, I've heard him pronounce a number of different ways. I'll call him Teferi. And he's going to go tapped out, so this is going like the first game. Bounces at night. It is going to force him to do something though, because he's going to lose Teferi next turn. Jordon in an awkward spot here because he only has 1 blue source. So he's in no position to fight over anything. What's he going to kick here? Okay, he's targeting... he was targeting his Teferi. I don't know why he would do that. Because he's got it dead anyway. There's a blink of an eye on the other side, but it'll be negated to get Teferi. So that's a kind of a big swing right there. He's left off a 2/2 only, but you can see he's got 2 Teferis and a Caracal in hand against 4 cards on the other side. But he's in a kind of an awkward position where he's going to lose any counter war. I just start jamming here. You can see he's only got 3. Tony's only got 3 cards in hand, so they're not going to be all counter spells. Tapped out, so he might go for a Fumigate. No Fumigates in hand. Interesting. And now the beatdowns begin. So it's looking pretty bad for Jordon at the start, but all the momentum now with him. He's going to be able to play that approach next turn. 3 cards in hand for Tony. He might be flooding out a bit here. He's got all these attackers now with 2 counter spells as backup. I think he's got this one. Goes for Teferi, resolves Teferi. And lethal on board now, so Tony needs some sort of response. Does he find it? Settle the wreckage perhaps, but with counter spells on this side, I think it doesn't matter. Are we going to go to game 3? Here's a Gearhulk in response. He doesn't have a counterspell that can stop a Gearhulk. Gearhulk's going to get back Settle the Wreckage. He can stop that Settle the Wreckage though. Now if Tony has a counterspell, he's going to win this counterspell war. There's the negate. Is there a response on the other side? There's not. So he's going to drop to 2. But he has kind of stabilized the board somewhat. But at 32 life, he's a long way to go. 7 swings from the Gearhulk. Just takes down a cat just to be safe there. So he just hit Teferi so that Teferi can't bounce a creature. He can flip this Skunter here. I suspect we're about to go to game 3. Here's an approach. 1 card in hand from Tony, doesn't have it. Puts him to 1 now. So there won't be any more attacks from the Gearhulk. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Doesn't have Field of Ruin on the Iskanta, so he's going to be able to activate Iskanta once. He'll find a Supreme Will. Finds another Field of Ruin. All of this too late, unfortunately. Jordon's going to send us to a game 3. There's the first. So we're going to go to game 3 now. He was just out of Tony was just out of cards, had nothing going on. Does he want to keep that disallow? Yes, he does. He has a turn 2. It resolves. It's kind of a good card to counter the Search for Skunter because it's just genuine card advantage in these mirror matches. Sometimes it's a bit slow against creature heavy decks. Here's Khan, but that's going to get a disallow. Chooses to draw the Supreme Will. You can see he's still going to hit his next land drop, so 2-4, that'll put him to 5. What does he want to... is it too early for approach? He's going to take the Gearhulk. Awkward here in that the previous game he couldn't get islands, now he can't get plains. In turn, and it's an aggressive counter there. So if he's got Teferi here he can resolve it, but he doesn't, he has a tap land. I actually think Jordon would let the Teferi probably resolve just so that he can bounce it to get the cantrip with the blink of an eye. Here we go again, he's going to try again, and again it's going to get countered. So you can see Tony down to 2 cards in hand. And a 5-6 to deal with. Ixalan's Binding is a very good one here. There'll be no more Gearhulks, although Blink of an Eye will momentarily stop that. There's the second plains that he needed. So he'll fire that one off very quickly. He can also Blink of an Eye here as well, if he wants to. He might not have any decent targets in his graveyard to play with it though. Here's Teferi. What's he going to bounce here? Has he got a counter spell? We'll have to see. Oh, he does. That's a huge play. That's the match, I think. Counters his Teferi by bouncing the Ixalan's Binding. So he's going to get 1 hit with the Gearhulk here. And he's got Negate back up now. So that's going to stop the Ixalan's Binding. And 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, just short of... Oh no, he's going to have lethal next turn because his Drew Benali will pump those knights. Goes for the Binding, this is going to get countered and that's going to be game. Unless he's got a negate, he doesn't. So we're going to go to Modern. Jordon takes standard 2 games to 1. Well, his only hope here is a... I mean, there's no hope now for disallow, but I was going to say his only hope was a cast out. Not cast out the 2 mana one, but he should have got the Gearhulk when it was tapped. And that's lethal. Oh, he'll bounce a knight. Okay, so he's going to buy himself 1 turn. He's not as counted, so Modern time. Blue, red. I've been told by Jordon this is a brew he's playing this week. Okay, this is... Yeah, I've seen this before. It's a seismic swans. Going to draw a mountain of cards. He killed that thing so fast I didn't have a chance to see what it was. No, oh, Noble Hierarch. Okay, Experiment 1. Okay, so it looks like Tony's on I think this is zoo. Yeah, so seismic assault. I think he mentioned he plays 43 lands in this deck. Discard a land, do 2 damage. You can see in the chat, Tony says it's spicy. Well, there's a Steel Leaf champion in Modern, don't see that too often. So 7 damage, so what's he going to do here? He's going to have to come up with something pretty fast because... Actually, the Swans of Brunargle, this is a 4-3. Whenever you do damage to it, draw a card. And the problem for mono green has no way of beating that. Oh, okay. So what he's doing here is doing 2 damage. So instead of doing the damage to the swan, it draws 2 cards. So all he's going to do now is just draw a mountain of cards until he's got enough to do. He needs 10 lands. He'll get 10 lands and then deal that damage. So Tony's actually dead on board. Yeah, that's really cool. The thing going for Tony here, sideboards, is that green is probably the best colour to deal with an enchantment. So we'll see what he's got in sideboards to deal with that. You can see he's just going to play it out. I forgot to bring in Scorpion here. Scorpion can say finish him. He's got a second Swans now. What would be really funny against this deck is Leyline of Sanctity. I wonder what he'd do if someone played a Leyline. You'd have to win the traditional way of the Swans. But that's going to do the lethal damage, so we're going to go to game 2. He'll company in response. I don't know what, and in response he'll just do another one, so probably could have let the company resolve just so you can see what's he's going to play, although if he plays something like a Reclamation Sage to kill it. Okay, game 2 here, Treasure Hunt. Yeah, Treasure Hunt is actually really good for 43 lands to find the pieces that you need. Strangleroot Geist with haste there. Okay, he's awkwardly a mountain short of going off here. Seismic Assault needs triple red. He is going to be able to Anger of the Gods and clean that board up though. Down to 3 cards for Tony. Scavenging Ooze. There's his 3rd red, but it's a Swiftwater Cliffs. That's like a pauper card. I don't know why he's playing that in Modern. I'm sure there's a reason. Gets you 1 life, enters the battlefield tapped. And he's going to have to discard a ton of cards. I think he can discard the treasure hunts. He doesn't really need them now that he's got the combo pieces. So there's 8 power, so there's 2 turn clock, so 2, 4, I think he might be a turn short from going, winning here. Swans of Brunargle's going to draw him a turn. He's going to check one of them and draw him a ton of cards. So yeah, I think he's got it next turn. Back to nature, perhaps. Tony's going to need some sort of... just as I said, that's a very clean answer to Swans. Dismember will take it down. And that means that lethal on board next turn. That's going to do 9 damage. So Jordon drops to 3. He has to win it this turn. He finds another copy of Swans, plays out Seismic Assault. He's going to be able to clear the board anyway, so it's not going to be lethal this turn. I'll be for just one moment. Is it lunchtime for little girls? Okay, just while I was away, he somehow removed the Seismic Assault. Treetop Village can't do anything, it's just going to draw Jordon more cards here. Or 12 power on the board, so yeah, mono green just has no answer to this deck. And I think we're about to go to Legacy. He's trying to get the Undying trigger there. Jordon goes to 1, but 1 is not none. Treasure hunt to find the missing piece. He doesn't find it. Anger of the Gods will clean the board. He hasn't played a lane yet, so he finds the Seismic Assault. He can play it. And that is the game. And it's just a case of swinging with his 3 swans. And we're on to Legacy. Green and red, Elvish Spirit Guide. Empty the Warrens. Okay, so he's playing. He's told me what this is, and my apologies. I've forgotten again. I think it's. I think it's Storm, but it's not Storm. Oh well, that's just gonna screw him right over if Tony can resolve that. Tony's on Reanimator. The black-red Reanimator. Entomb that Chancellor, or he's going to entomb a Grizzlebrand normally. Yep. Reanimates the Grizzlebrand. Turn 1 Grizzlebrand to Tony. I don't think that Lion's Eye Diamond gets counted there. I think that Chancellor of the Annex just beats this deck because Empty the Warrens won't work. So he's got to play it now before the Chancellor comes down. But he's not going to be able to race 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 of them. So Grizzlebrand's going to gain 7 life per turn. Yes, I think Tony's got to reanimate one more thing. This is going to drop him to 9. This will put him to 60. Yeah, he's still got this. Just keep swinging that Grizzlebrand. Goes to 6. Yep, and so we're going to go to game 2. So pretty fast Legacy game 1. Okay, Goblin Charbelcher. That's the deck. Well, I think he's got a turn 1 Charbelcher here. He does. So he needs, I think he needs 1 mana source to activate the Charbelcher. He'll draw a card to try and find it. Seething Song, he's 1 short of that. You can see there's a very poor keep there from Tony. For a Reanimator, I would never keep that hand. You can see he's got a way to reanimate, but he's got no way to get anything into the grave. So he needs 2 top decks to do anything. Okay, he's drawn an Entomb. So he can actually do it now. So Elish Norn, unfortunately, Elish Norn will check those goblins, but it's Goblin Charbelcher that's going to beat him here. I think his... okay, no, very nice. He plays Iona. Did he name red? Let me just confirm that. Yeah, he chose red. But it's not going to matter here. Charbelcher's going to win him the match. So we're going to game 3. I think he actually had to play Elish Norn to remove that spell that gave him the 2 red mana. See what's going on the other side. Yeah, that's not a bad... He's got no way of putting something into the graveyard though, so I mean, a Faithless Looting would be a good draw, but apart from that he's got nothing going on. I can see why he kept it this time though, but I think he's still dead. Has Tony got the 3 to activate? No, he's 1 short. Now he's none short, so this game is over. A clean sweep for Jordon Berkley. Draws his whole deck. And Charbelcher does the damage. 12 points to 2, a comprehensive win over Tony Jackson.